evening and welcome to the Lopatcong Township Planning Board meeting of March 2002. At this time, I'd like to invite you to join us in a silent moment of prayer, followed immediately by the oath of allegiance to the flag of our country. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'm required to state that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided indicating the time and place of the meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 by advertising a notice in the Star Ledger and the Express Times and by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Beth, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, members Kleiner.
Here.
Boyle. DeLeo. Here. Polito.
Here.
Sazanoff.
Here.
Weeks. Mayor Mengucci.
Here.
Vice Chairman Sampson.
Here.
Chairman Bentley.
Here. Moving on to old business. The first order is approving the minutes of the February 23rd, 2022 minutes. Has everyone received a copy of those? Are there any questions, comments, corrections? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Any noes?
I'll have to abstain, Gary.
Okay, and I was just going to ask for exceptions, but okay. Now, we're going to move on to discussing the NFI application. A little background of what we're having done here. Is the applicant, Ms. Peck, I'm sorry, please come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Mark Peck, Florio Perucci Law Firm, on behalf of the applicant NFI.
As we had discussed at the last minutes, we're not prepared to really continue the hearing tonight.
Understood.
Because the conflict engineer that we had, who I hope will be here tonight, is not.
He is.
Oh, he is? Okay, very good. If you would like to join us up here. Sure.
You have a seat right next to you.
Very good.
Good evening, everyone.
Good.
Hey, how are you? David. Andrew.
Very good. Nice to meet you. Good. Thank you for showing him the way.
Sure thing. No, I've worked with Mr. Holt's office in the
Okay.
past. And it's been an agreeable relationship. No, we understand we're not proceeding tonight. Perhaps out of an abundance of optimism, we did notice for tonight. So I would ask, we are anticipating that we will be heard at the April meeting. So I would ask that the notice be carried.
Without re-notification.
Yeah, without need for further notice. And also, I believe we have to extend the time in which the board has to act.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall if we left it at the end of March. So we'll extend it to the end of April.
Okay, very good. We're going to take a motion on that now. Do you, any questions about the board? To entertain a motion to grant the extension to the end of April.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call up, Beth, please.
Yes. Members Kleiner.
Yeah.
DeLeo.
Yes.
Polito.
Yes.
Sazanoff.
Yes.
Mayor Mengucci.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Sampson.
Yes.
Chairman Bentley.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you next month.
And you're going to do a motion to carry the notice to while you're on it?
Yes. Well, I thought we just carried the motion
Okay.
on this one here without re-notification. Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Members of the public, if you're here for a hearing on the NFI application, it will not be heard tonight, and if you feel free to leave now if you'd like, that'd be no problem. just a little understanding of the complications that came into effect is our normal engineer expert that we would have in the board, Collier's International, I think it is now, has a conflict of interest to continue forward with this application, which requires us to get a conflict engineer. And this is Mr. Andrew Holt from Suburban Engineering. Thank you very much. So they need some time to catch up with all of the information that has been submitted so far. This application's been going on for over a year now. We've had a lot of revisions, we've had a lot of testimony, and it takes a while to catch up on it. And I was just, my question to you would be how much time you're going to think you're going to need? You can be prepared to do it by the April meeting?
We've had an opportunity already to gather the background information. Actually had a conference call with the applicant's engineer and also with the the board's engineer who properly transferred information to us. So our expectation is that within the next few weeks, we'll be able to, there's been submittals in response to the prior technical reviews. So we'll be able to review those, generate our own, whether there be new technical comments or an acceptance or a question on the responses that have been provided to date, and then bring forward a new report for the board's consideration. But I certainly anticipated that you would be able to hear it at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions?
No, none.
Any board member have any questions? So that's what we basically said. Okay. Okay, we'll be moving on to new business now, and we have under review a new ordinance concerning truck stops. Has everybody received a copy of the ordinance from the board? We're not exactly approving this. All we're doing is indicating to the council, who has jurisdiction over all ordinances, that it's in conformance with our master plan for the Township of Lopatcong. I have a couple review letters here from our planner and our attorney. Boiling it down from a couple of pages here, basically he has no, our planner, Mr. Ritter, the provisions of proposed ordinance 22-3 defining the term truck stop and clarifying that the use is prohibited in all zones within the township are consistent with the township's master plan. And our attorney, Mr. Bryce, has drafted a resolution for the planning board tonight to authorize this to send up to the council our approval as it's thus in conformance with master plan. So does anybody have any questions on it? Yes.
The only question I have is, perhaps, in question is the property on Strikers Road that already has a truck coming in and out of it. If they were to, perchance, on an ad hoc basis, service or need to service their trucks coming in or out of those bays, what would constitute?
Well, it defines what a truck stop is in Mr. Ritter's dissertation of what is here, and it basically concerns highway business and whatever else was in the, give me a moment, please. This is concerning basically truck stops, and he defines them as, quote, the repair of motor vehicles or automobile service stations, filling or gasoline stations and motor vehicle or automobile repair garages are permitted only as a conditional use in the RB, which is the retail business zone, and the HB highway business zone. The RB zone is a mixed-use retail and residential district that permits both single-family dwellings and retail and personal services on lots containing a minimum of 7,750 square feet. And the RB and HB zones are intended to allow retail, business, and personal service establishments, which are clearly of a community service character. It also goes on to indicate that anything that was be providing overnight accommodations away from sleeping in the cab of the truck, but like the 78 truck stop out on Interstate 78 there, where it's restaurant service, food service, overnight sleeping accommodations and stuff like that there. And I guess it would get into heavy-duty truck or equipment type repairs there. I had specifically asked the question about I referred to it, the old Cooper's gas station out on 22 next to the Bell and Howell situation, and that's just classified as a fueling stop. I don't know if there was any heavy-duty truck repair or just, minor repairs that when they stopped in there, but I don't see any overnight facilities, no food facilities there.
All right.
So basically, that's what it came down to be. So both of our professionals, Mr. Ritter and Adam Wisniewski from Collier's, indicated by emails to me that they were both they felt they were both in conformance with our master plan at this time. So, hearing to that, I'll any further questions? No? I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution and send a message up to the council that it's in conformance with our master plan.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Beth, roll call, please.
Yes. Members Clymer,
Yeah.
DeLeo,
Yes.
Lido,
Yes.
Fasano,
Yes.
Chairman Tucci.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bennett,
Yes.
Chairman Bender.
Yes. Okay, that basically concludes our order of business for this evening. I will now open it up for public comment, if there's any. Yes, ma'am. Would you please come forward to the podium and state your name and address?
Judy Liptak, 37 Papa. Hi, thank you so much for the ordinance, but can you explain it to me a little bit more? Are you able to help me understand it?
The ordinance about the truck stop?
Yeah.
Truck stop?
Yeah, so like the lots that we've been talking about, the Twilight, that gas station, and the mall. Now, are they going to be prohibited from parking overnight, taking their cabs off and leaving the truck there? Will this ordinance cover that, so they don't do that anymore?
I think it's allowed as long as they're within conformance in those zones that they
So
can,
we're permitting it?
they can, if they have a fuel stop, they can have a gas station there like it's out on 22 now. Doesn't seem to, all this ordinance is doing here, in my estimation, and correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm about to chime in.
Okay, I'll let you time.
I believe the ordinance, and of course, the ordinance is drafted by the township committee, not by this body. This body's only
Understood.
role is to ensure that it complies with and comports with the master plan.
Right,
But my interpretation of the ordinance is that it prohibits the active commercial activity of operating a truck stop, not more of acquiescence to the parking of trucks, if you understand.
I think I do.
Yeah.
I guess bottom line is, are we stopping this from happening in our town?
That
Are we
would be a
stopping the
question.
parking of trucks on open lots in our town?
And this ordinance does not do that.
Mhm.
And if that is a concern you have, that question is best directed to the township committee,
The council,
um,
yes, which we have, so I just was wanting clarification, so we don't have that ordinance yet. Okay, thank you for clarifying that,
My pleasure.
appreciate that. So my additional questions are, warehouse on Strikers, the current warehouse that's on Strikers. We had spoken at the last meeting about making left-hand turns. They're still doing that. The trucks are still doing that. And there was conversation about contacting the owner and putting in an actual barrier so they can't instead of the cones, but they're still making left-hand turns. They're only supposed to make a right and go right toward 519, not up 57. Am I correct?
They're making a turn coming out of the warehouse?
Yes, sir. They're making turns out of the bottom lot left, going up toward 57. That is still happening.
Wait a minute.
Well,
Well,
the line coming down the hill there, right?
well, that's one thing. And if you look at that driveway, it's throwing you, you're right. So,
The barrier to make the left turn there is significant for a tractor trailer like that.
They're doing it. I don't.
It's more a matter of enforcement than anything else, so.
The last time we spoke of this at the meeting, another gentleman or woman spoke about it. They said that they were going to contact the owner and discuss it if it continued to happen. And maybe.
I haven't,
Nothing. So the trees that are planted along there, I assume that's something that they had to do, part of their plan when they built the warehouse?
yes,
Okay. Over 50% of them are dead. Will we be holding them accountable for replanting those trees?
I have to, zoning officer will have to look at that or engineering.
Well, I'll let the engineer know about it.
We'll know about it,
That's
he
part of
did the
their
inspection
plan, so they
and
have
force
to-
of it.
Yeah, over 50% of them are dead.
That's,
I could bring you pictures next
no,
time. Next time to show
Did a lot
you
of
that. So we are also considering, seeing considerable litter still throughout the borough because of trucks. I'm having a hard time understanding how Lopatcong and Greenwich can stop it, yet Lopatcong can't. I don't know if we're aware that not only are they parking at the mall in the front, but they're going behind the mall and parking, not on Pohat's side, only on Lopatcong's side. And now there's been graffiti painted back there. So that's a serious safety hazard. What else is going to happen back there? So would there be ordinances in place to have them light up the back a little bit better? Maybe more patrols back there? Is this something that we can do to stop
are you
potential?
talking about the old Phillipsburg one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's now under consideration at the council level for redevelopment. All that should be addressed there. As far as the present condition, again, would be a matter of enforcement. I have no idea of if they will pack on portion
So I'll bring it up, I guess.
under Title 39 of the traffic laws that they would, can they enforce that on private property?
They can adopt it on the parking issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Or
can.
I'm talking about the litter and stuff.
Oh, well, the litter, yeah, they can enforce a litter, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
a litter,
Shouldn't they have to
yeah.
clean up their property? Shouldn't we enforce that, right?
The zoning officer
Would do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly.
So again, my question is, why can Pohat do it? Like, they do it. They have a sign that lit up that says no truck parking. They have, I've seen them pull over trucks many times. They have signs that are like glued to the light post that say no truck parking, but Lopat doesn't have any of that. So I was just wondering why. And there's a very fine delineation. They know, the truckers know that, so they're parking on Lopatcong's side.
Got it.
So,
We can let the police chief know
okay.
about it. And it is private property as well, so.
Do the chiefs talk like Pohat and Stewartsville? Like, I know that my first time I came here, I spoke about forming a coalition between town councils and mayors. And listen, I know we don't all get along, but perhaps we need to begin to play nice in the sandbox so that we can stop this prolific change in our landscape here. You know, like the litter, the trucks, it's terrible. It's terrible what Lopatcong is turning into. And I think we have the power to stop it. I know the last town council meeting, we said, we want the trucks to come through here, and no, you pass through, well, you ain't stopping. Keep going. right? Obey the laws, stay off our roads that you don't belong on, and I just would like us to really step that up a little bit with ordinances and zoning.
You know, if I could interrupt for a second.
Sure.
In terms of the litter,
Yeah.
long before the Strikers Road property was built,
Mm-hmm.
it was an Earth Day, I remember distinctly, a couple of
Mhm.
years back.
Yeah.
I spotted coming out of Kohl's, because this is the last remnant of the mall,
Yeah.
a number of pieces of garbage that
Mhm.
people tend to go to, Chick-fil-A,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't go to for other reasons, and scatter everything over.
Yes.
So truckers or no truckers,
Yeah, I
you
agree.
have to realize that human beings
Our pigs.
aren't always
They're littering. Yeah.
do so. So, as a private citizen,
Mm-hmm.
I have gone over to Chick-fil-A and asked, because they certainly have a bunch of people and employees,
Mm-hmm.
directing traffic and saluting people as they come in.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't we put up a garbage can that you can perhaps pick up at the end of the day, because you
Mhm.
have,
Right.
but nothing. So there's a lot to be said for things that have always been happening
Yeah.
and things that perhaps we might be
Mm-hmm.
shifting the blame, perhaps. I've seen strikers that run up and down that road too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to point the finger simply just at.
It's an increase, though. It's a noticeable increase. I agree with you, but it's that property owner's job to put the garbage cans out. The guy who owns the mall has to be held accountable to mow the lawns, keep it up. I know it's abandoned.
So
Right.
and as it's under redevelopment currently, then perhaps there's something else happening that it might be in transition and all this.
But transition isn't okay to just leave it turn into a dump space and a truck parking lot.
Sure,
Because transition is going to be a long time, let's be honest, right? Before the
Right.
redevelopment happens.
right.
So we can't allow the
So,
buildings
You
to.
know, it's coming on Earth Day and Earth Month this year.
Mhm.
If there's a local high school or if there's a local grade
That'd be
school,
great.
perhaps can get some students involved and say,
Boy
hey,
Scouts, Girl Scouts, it's not their responsibility, but yeah, to help.
whose responsibility is it? The property owners.
The property owners.
If trash rolls on from one property to another, what happens then?
Just like when leaves blow on my property,
God
it's
Almighty and the powers of the wind. I mean, there's certain things.
when
that
leaves
happen.
blow on my property, I rake them up. They're the property owner's responsibility. We have to hold that property owner
Yeah.
accountable for keeping his lot clean and acceptable and safe. Not an eyesore for Lopatcong. It's becoming a disgusting eyesore,
I understand.
and we have to do something about it.
I understand. I appreciate your efforts. I just want you to know that I've seen it before, and there's a marked difference between what's happened before and that's what you're saying.
Yeah, there's an obvious difference, yeah.
And you've been collecting timestamped proof.
Oh, we are starting to take pictures, yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So also now with the warehouses, I just wanted to know where we're at with sewer capacity. What's happening with sewer capacity in our town?
You'd have to approach the council. They have all the authority, and what we get is a TWA at the planning board level on the application, indicating that there is sewer capacity as far as numbers are concerned and everything like that.
Is that why?
Should say, is sewer capacity or doesn't it?
Right, we do or we don't. So
As
new
far as numbers and
applications
Stuff like that, you'd have to
go to town council.
get that information.
Okay, so why are there still outhouses,
I'm sorry, the what?
outhouses, porta potties? Why are
Yes.
they still portable ones at the warehouse there on Strikers?
There are 3 outside of there.
Right. I think there's some in the front and some in the back still.
I have no idea whether they're part of a ongoing roof repair there or.
Or sewer capacity issues?
They've been there since day one. What about the same ones?
We were told that they didn't have enough bathrooms in there when they built the building and they had to warn.
Sewer capacity, I guess. They don't have it. I don't know.
It wouldn't be sewer capacity.
So,
If they have bathrooms, it's not sewer capacity. It may be insufficient bathrooms.
that's what I mean,
Certainly
yeah.
sewer capacity.
Mhm. for the amount of employees that are allowed to be there or whatever?
Sewer capacity has to do with the pipes in the ground, whether
Yeah.
there's sufficient capacity to take the sewage generated by the use.
Right. So only so many employees though, right? Is that how you factor that in? People that are in the building using those facilities?
Sewer capacity is not the correct term to be applied
Okay,
here.
so
It may
what's
be
the
that
correct term?
they need overflow bathrooms,
Okay,
but it's not an issue of sewer capacity.
but we're okay with outhouses permanently being there or no?
I'm not suggesting that.
Oh, are we okay with that? Was that part of the plan when they asked
No.
to build there?
They
No.
built that they had indoor plumbing and that's it.
So can we ask them to remove them?
During the construction, they did have porta potties out there when the sewer system wasn't up
Right.
and running. Again, they're usually contractor operations. The only other thing I can think of is that there are convenience areas for people who are on their break and they don't want to run the quarter mile down to a bathroom that's located on the other end of the building. So
So that's not part of the plan,
it
so
was
that they
never
could
part
have
of the
them,
plan,
but there's also not anything that says they can't have them.
no. We
So they
also-
can have them.
Part of the plan was also they had to contain all their outside garbage, so that they
Okay.
had designated areas and dumpsters in those
Mhm.
areas that were shielded from the public,
hmm
so
with the trees
That
that are
was-
dying.
part of the plan.
So, another question about change orders to plans that come in front of the planning board. So
On
how do they work?
buildings,
Yeah.
change order to buildings do not come before the planning board
They do.
unless,
Applications?
unless they're coming into expanding the building. Now, maybe my definition of a change order is different than what you would think a change order is.
Yeah,
But basically, it's any change in the construction of a building,
okay,
whether it be location of electrical facilities, or
mhm,
they decided they had to have increased, anything to do that increases the cost of the building from the original contractor to the owner of the property.
okay, so maybe I'm not clear on my question, and maybe
Okay.
I don't have an understanding. So I am a developer, and I'm putting out my original plan, right?
Right.
My application, that's not been approved yet. But I want to change that now after I've already submitted it. Is that a change order?
No,
No.
that's an amended
That's
site
an
plan.
amended site plan.
Okay, amended site plan. So how does that work? Do you have to do a reapplication? Is there like, maybe if it's only within a certain parameter, you can do it, but if it's a bigger parameter, you have to reapply for site plan changes?
You're using terms which I can't comment on right now because we're in the middle of a hearing on one of the warehouses.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay,
They're allowed to make revisions during the process,
uh-huh,
depending on back and forth discussions that we're hearing here,
mm-hmm,
what's more advantageous for the town, or if it's a detriment to the town, and they bring that in before the planning board to rule on whether they can do it or they can't do it.
okay. Fair enough. I understand you can't answer.
The other thing is about, the change order is usually money factors coming in, and that can be perpetrated by, done by either party,
Oh,
either the owner, or the
okay.
developer, or the contractor who's building the building.
Are there parameters there, or it could just be anything?
It
Be a
could
total
affect-
different plan than what they originally put in?
That would, if I may.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if this is following approval of the site plan,
Mm-hmm,
it would be, they would have to come back, to the extent that it departs from the approved site plan,
mm-hmm,
they would have to come back at that point with an amended site plan
okay,
for the board's approval. Prior to the board giving its initial approval, there's no need to call it an amended site plan, it's just revisions to the site plan. The site plan
Gotcha.
itself is somewhat fluid until
Mhm.
it's approved, and it's at that point that it's approved that any amendments would have to come back to this body.
so major amendments can come in?
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. One last question. With the proposal of additional warehouses, has there been consideration in contacting the Department of Transportation to have roads and intersections amended before, because of the increase in traffic, and not just the traffic, but the unsafe intersections where trucks can't make turns within the lines and causing, 519 and 57, strikers and 57, 22,
Well,
and
this,
519.
this particular body, the planning board of any community, doesn't have jurisdiction over state highways or county
Right.
roads.
Mhm. Understood. But
There's
who's,
nothing we can force the developer to do there other than to suggest to him and have him agree to something like that, and that becomes part of the conditional approval of the application.
Mhm.
But as far as having a enforcement power or anything like that, that strictly lies, especially if a state highway is involved, that's strictly in the Department of Transportation.
so how would they know? How would the Department of Transportation know that, like,
We
these trucks
can-
are proposed to be here and they, they can't make a left-hand turn, say?
We can ask them to do a traffic study, we can have to ask them to look at the situation, but there's no way that we can force that to happen.
But we can ask.
You can ask, they'll send people up to look at it, traffic engineers, and determine what's the best solution, or,
Can we ask?
pardon?
Can we ask?
We've asked many times.
Uh-huh.
Before any of this happened with Ingersoll, we were
Can we keep asking?
adamant of trying to get people up, had
Mhm.
meetings with the DOT, had people come up, talk to
Mhm.
traffic engineers, community
Mhm.
officers from the DOT, and
Have they come?
they came
Oh.
and looked, and we had for lack of another word, disagreement with what we thought their conclusion should be.
Mm-hmm.
We were, especially on the new Ingersoll,
Yeah,
old Ingersoll
right.
property,
Right.
they indicated to us they would build an overpass there instead of having a traffic lane. And that changed in the middle of it, and the DOT agreed with them, and
Mhm.
we had no power to enforce it any other way.
Fixing that overpass that's crumbling, that one?
No.
Oh.
Creating a whole new one, so you didn't have another
Oh.
cross-traffic situation there.
Hmm. So if we reach that again, now I get that was for those, right? So now we have the one, and then we have two more. Or maybe another one I don't know about that's being proposed. So is it advantageous to perhaps reach out again and say, now we're gonna have even more problems, potential problems?
Judy, I had a preliminary meeting
Yeah,
2 weeks ago with Assemblyman DeMayo, Mayor Barsney, Commissioner Chesla, and
mm-hmm,
myself.
mm-hmm. Who was the other person, Chesla, DeMayo?
Mr. Barsney, who's the mayor of Greenwich,
Oh, okay, I didn't know the name.
to get something rolling.
Okay,
All the intersections that you've just mentioned,
okay,
because we're aware that there are some things.
much appreciated.
So
So there's something moving there, perhaps.
nothing is, as we all know, moves fast.
I must say that I did send a letter to the DOT. I did speak with the commissioner's secretary. And that's about the crumbling bridge on the overpass of 20, right? The 5722, one that actually has crumbles coming off of it and rusted rebarb showing. So I haven't gotten a response back, you're right. But in my research of the DOT, I'm in awe of the amount of people that work there. And I can't get a response in a month's time. So you said it, you warned me, but I won't give up because I call
I don't expect you to
constantly.
give up, nor would I,
I'm sorry?
I wouldn't want anything less than what you're producing here. But I
Yeah,
can tell you, the frustrating part for all of us
I'm sure,
is that nothing moves fast.
right?
And there's always politics involved.
Oh, first word of the day.
So,
Politics with people's lives. Well, I hope there's not a tragedy before that.
I certainly hope there isn't either.
Because that's very dangerous. Well, I appreciate your time and your patience with my questions and the unknowns that I don't realize and understand. Just trying to understand what we as citizens can do and how we can help support the planning board to help preserve this beautiful county that we got here over 20 years ago from Somerset County, and to preserve the beauty, the safety, and, continue living here. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. John?
Yeah, I just wonder if we have jurisdiction over entrances and exits to truck stops coming from state highways onto Lopatcong Township jurisdiction land. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Is,
Depends on the circumstances.
Okay.
Generally, if it empties out onto a state highway, the state highway department has jurisdiction over that entrance.
okay, I just wondering because, I was thinking about the mall and possibilities of it, something going there and entering from the state highway onto Lopatcong property and then over on into a truck stop. I'm not saying that I've heard that anywhere. The other thing is the other day I saw trucks stopped, parked in front of the library, Southwest Branch Library. I also still see trucks going down Bell Pike, tractor trailers going up and down Bell Pike. So that's still something going on. So I just want to mention those things, that's all. All right.
Okay, as I said, always reiterate.
It's a jurisdiction.
It's not so much a jurisdiction as it is an enforcement issue.
Enforcement situation. I just wanted to remind, say it
Okay.
again.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You don't understand my confusion. John Ketcherson, 38 Hayden Lane. So, I just wanted to just ask you about this ordinance. This is not going to affect those lots, any operation on those two lots right now, Twilight and the Phillipsburg heavy truck repair, right?
No.
Okay, so that has been determined that what they're doing there is not within the zoning, right? Because the zoning, I've been in touch with the zoning officer, and I think somebody, at the council meeting was mentioned that on December 29th, that the Twilight lot was issued a warning to stop that operation, and they're still going
There
full
have been
board.
fines issued out there, correct, Ben?
There was violations issued.
There's violations.
They did have their first appearance in court.
They didn't show up,
Uh,
according to the zoning officer.
Right, but they have, I think the judge is giving them 30 days.
30 days? Okay.
to appear in court.
So I know it's not really necessarily a planning board subject, but, those two lots are going full bore. If anything, they've increased the number of trucks that are parked there. So when I thought that, and if I was going to be talking today, I have some pictures here of the illegal truck stops, including the Phillipsburg Mall. One of the things, I'm not going to bore you with those right now, but the trash is really ridiculous. And, to your point, people have been pigs all along. But trucks bring, somebody just driving a car, tossing a Chick-fil-A or a McDonald's thing out the windows is one thing. But when we have pee bottles being thrown out, that's a trucker thing. They pee in their bottles and they toss them out the window. That is still sitting there on the corner of Strikers Road and 57. So that's the kind of stuff that we're going to be putting up with when more warehouses get approved in this town. And it's just, it's absolutely disgusting what this town is becoming. And, I hope that you guys can put a stop to additional harm in the town here. I didn't print it out, but there was another picture of a box of diesel exhaust fluid on the side of Strikers Road. Diesel exhaust fluid, hence the name, it's only used in diesel trucks, all right? I doubt somebody driving a diesel pickup truck decided to stop on the side of Strikers Road, fill up their DEF tank, and throw the box away. It was an 18-wheeler, I can almost guarantee it, just like that. So that's the type of stuff that we're inviting into our town, and it's, I hope that you guys put a stop to it. Thank you.
Donna Schneider, 26 Meadowview. I have a couple of questions, but I can tell you that I did see that bottle that John mentioned, and I was kind of horrified that was sitting right by the train tracks. I saw that bottle. It's been there for quite some time. And I think that's really disgusting. It really is disgusting. I have noticed that there are trucks at Berry Plastics and cars. Is there something going on at Berry Plastics at the time?
No idea.
Because there's a for sale sign and there's, barriers that, you can't get into the one area, but where all the truck bays are, there's trucks that are pulled in there with people in them and cars parked there. So I don't know.